I've been a healthcare practitioner for over 20 years now. And in clinic, I often see people who are resting more but recovering less. This might sound strange at first. They're not doing nothing. They might be getting sleep. They might be taking their weekends off. They might have a quiet night every now and then. Might even go away for a few days and feel a bit better. But then the same pattern comes back. They wake up tired. Their body still feels tense. Their mind is still running before the day even begins. They might even need an extra boost of caffeine just to feel normal. They get through the week, but they don't feel like they're rebuilding anything. And that's the distinction that I want to talk about here. Rest and recovery are not the same thing. Rest means that the demand has paused, but recovery means that the system has actually restored. And that difference matters because a lot of high load people assume they need more time off, and sometimes they do. But sometimes the deeper issue is that even when they do stop, the system doesn't really downshift. The calendar might be quieter, but the body stays braced and tight. The mind keeps scanning. The nervous system stays ready for the next demand. Sleep happens, but it doesn't feel restorative. A weekend happens, but Monday still feels heavy. A holiday might help briefly, but the pattern returns as soon as normal life resumes. That's not true recovery. That is a pause. A simple example is the person who says, I rested all weekend, but I still feel exhausted. They did stop working and they didn't train hard. They might have had time on the couch or have slept in, but they might have also checked their messages and emails, or thought about the week ahead, or carried that same body tension, or stayed mentally switched on, and never really felt the internal shift from demand into restoration. So by Monday, they're not recovered. They're just a little less behind. That is an important difference because rest is about removing demand, but recovery is about rebuilding capacity after demand. Because you can remove the demand without rebuilding the system. And this is why recovery cannot be measured only by time. 8 hours in bed doesn't always mean restored. 2 days off doesn't always mean recovered. A quiet night doesn't always mean that the body is downshifted. The more useful question is, what state do I return in? After sleep, do I feel clearer? After a weekend, do I feel more capable? After time off, do I feel less guarded? After a lighter week, does my training tolerance improve? Or after rest, do I feel like my system has genuinely come back online? They're the more practical questions because the point of recovery is not just to stop doing, but it's to restore the system so it can meet the next demand with more margin. For high-functioning people, this can sometimes be difficult to see because they're used to carrying responsibility. They might not know what restored actually feels like anymore, and that's because their baseline has shifted. So a weekend that gets them from exhausted to functional feels like a win, but functional isn't the same as recovered. If you need the whole weekend just to become stable again, then that tells you something. If you sleep but you wake up feeling tense or wired or heavy, then that tells you something. If you have some time off and it helps briefly but the same pattern returns immediately, then that tells you something. It might suggest that your system is not getting enough true restoration between demands. Now, this is not about self-blame. Most people aren't choosing to recover poorly. They have a full schedule. Their responsibilities are very real. The body may be carrying pressure, and the mind might be staying active because there are genuine problems to solve. But if rest is no longer restoring you, the answer isn't always more effort, more discipline. And it's not always another recovery hack either. The first step is to understand the pattern. What prevents your system from downshifting? Is the load too high? Is your body staying braced? Is something disrupting your sleep? Is work entering every quiet space in your life? Are you stopping physically but staying mentally activated? Is your environment allowing recovery or only just a brief pause? They're all different problems and they all need different next steps. So this week, ask one question. Do I actually feel restored? Not, did I stop? Or did I sleep? Or did I have time off? But did my system come back with more capacity? Because that's the most useful signal to watch. Rest is helpful, but recovery is the outcome you're really looking for if you want to stay functioning at a high level for a long period of time. This is part of the pressure-proof logic. Performance needs margin, and margin depends on recovery that actually restores your system, not just gaps in your calendar. If your weekends, your sleep, or your time off no longer restore you, that's worth understanding before the cost becomes harder to ignore. To find out more about pressure-proof, check out the links below, because if the real question is why is my rest no longer restoring me, then that's a pattern worth identifying, and that's what pressure-proof is all about.